So today we're going to be talking about Asian Australian literature.
Asian Australian literature. What is it? Asian Australian literature is the combination of cultural identity within Australia and Asia. The literature gives individuals a sense of belonging. The author of an Australian Asian literature text is either an individual born in Australia who is of Asian descent or an individual who has come to Australia from an Asian country and called it home. The reason for choosing these novels, picture books, and autobiography is to be able to use a variety of texts to be able to reflect and summarise the experiences of individuals in Asian Australian descent. Each book has its own relation in being able to connect with the genre, whether that is from a literal sense of being Asian Australian or whether that is a connection through identity and belonging due to the nature of the book. The Happiest Refugee is in a literal context as the individual travels from Vietnam to Australia in order to be able to gain a new sense of belonging.
The Arrival likewise is about a migrant who travels to an unknown place where the character is able to gain a continued sense of identity and belonging also. The Peasant Prince, on the other hand, is a novel of a child who is taken from the comfort of their belonging and identity and is led to create a new identity where they are also able to have the ability to belong as well. Peking Duck teaches about identities that are shaped through the environment and people that surround individuals and how that can shape and impact one's life.
The Happiest Refugee by Anh Do was published in 2010 by Allen and Unwin. The stage and age group is Stage 3, which is ages 10 to 12. The autobiography is a recount of a factual story about Anh Do and his experiences in having to travel from Vietnam on a boat to come to Australia. It is a clear example of Asian Australian literature as its drive results in belonging, where the individual is born from an Asian country and comes to Australia and is able to call the country home.
The Arrival by Sean Tan was published in 2006 by Hodder and Sorton. The age and stage group is recommended for Stage 3, ages 10 to 12 years. The Arrival is a graphic novel about a migrant who leaves his family to seek a better life. He travels and eventually finds himself in a city and an unknown country with nothing more than a suitcase and a handful of money. The novel is about having a sense of belonging and identity as it speaks through the wordless images about the struggle and survival which leads to the world of hope.
The Peasant Prince by Lee Kunzin and Anne Spudvillas was published in 2007 by Penguin, and the age stage group recommended is Stage 2, which is ages 7 to 10. The Peasant Prince is a factual story about a young Chinese boy who was taken from his home to be trained up as a ballet dancer. The storyline is clear with a child's sense of identity being taken at a young age, only to grow up and learn that despite years of hardship, he is able to have a new sense of belonging through love and affection. There's a clear sense of new identity being formed and a stronger sense of belonging through the memories that are formed.
Peking Ducks by Krista Bell was published in 2010 by Windy Hollow Books. The recommended age group is 5 to 10 years, which is Stage 1 and or Stage 2. Peking Ducks is a heartwarming children's picture book that features an adventure of 3 little ducks along the Li River within China. Throughout the book, these 3 little ducks learn about the sacrifices that are made by their parents, and they learn the important lessons that are passed on. This story teaches its readers that an individual's identity can be shaped by the environment around you and the people within your life.
Strategies for a small class. Activities are defined as something that is being completed, or the act of something happening or being done. An activity which can be completed with a small group or class after reading is a drawing activity or a read aloud activity. The drawing activity would be suitable towards younger students where they are able to draw what they learned, so that the teacher is able to see what they understood about the book. Whereas for older children, they are able to work on pronunciation and grammatical aspects of an individual by asking children to read excerpts from the book and present their understandings of it.
Strategies are presented as a plan of action which assists in a long-term effect rather than the present result. Here, a strategy that can be completed is the act of asking students to recreate a drama piece that can assist in the long-term memory of the book that was read. Students can form groups and act out the books together with the peers, which can assist in muscle memory.
Discussion questions. 1. How do the novels or autobiographies read relate to you on a personal note?
2. What does it teach you and how does it influence decisions? 3. What do you as a reader understand about the text and how does it make you feel as an individual?
Target age group or stage. The age group which has been targeted is age 8, being Stage 2. However, some of the books can have a variety between younger and older readers based on the level of each individual student's abilities. The 4 novels are a clear example of the variety of novels that can be shared with Stage 2 students. Here, it is clear that the Peking Ducks is suited towards younger students, or those that need some more guidance. However, the autobiography, The Happiest Refugee, is suited towards the higher achievers, and is quite simple and straightforward, so that Stage 2 children are still able to decipher the novel.
So I'm going to be doing a reading of The Peasant Prince by Lee Cunson and Anne Spadivillis. Before I knew it, my new life had begun. I was plunged into my first days at the Beijing Dance Academy. They were long and hard and bewildering. I was one of the worst students, and I felt so shy, lost in an ocean of loneliness. I missed my mother. Every night I sobbed to myself to sleep. Sometimes I would find a place to hide amongst the weeping willows. The dripping leaves quivered as my tears fell, as if the trees themselves understood my sadness. 2 years went by before I found a friend. He was called the Bandit, and we helped each other through. And later I met Teacher Zhao. Teacher Zhao showed me the most beautiful leaps, graceful as a pheasant, as powerful as a dragon. Nothing is impossible, he urged, and he told me the story of the bow shooter who had to practice over and over if he wanted to become the best in all of China.
I'm going to be reading an excerpt from The Happiest Refugee, a memoir by Ando. At the start of every year, St. Aloysius gives you a list of textbooks that you needed for the semester. Between my brother and I, the cost came close to $1,000. Mum simply didn't have the money, and after a while, I stopped showing her the list. I've got to buy some books, Mum. How much do you need? 100, 200? Whatever you can spare. I didn't want her to see the list and be burdened by the knowledge that she didn't have enough. It would have devastated her to know that I was missing the required books. Lucky for me, I had my good mate, Phil Keenan. Phil was the only kid in school who knew I didn't have all the books. What classes have you got today? He would ask. When it was English, for example, he would lend me his books for my period, and I would return them to him in time for his class. I always had to be thinking about how to plan the day, when to meet up with him, how to make sure the other boys didn't catch on. This concern totally overtook my life. It was all-encompassing and supremely annoying.
Linguistic, multimodal, and thematic features of The Arrival and Peking Ducks. The Arrival. Within the novel The Arrival by Sean Tan, there is no text. The entire story is told through various images that are presented on each page. The book is broken up into 6 sections demonstrated through Roman numerals. The multimodality of this novel includes the amount of images that are presented within the text. For example, as shown on the right, images tell a story of a young girl waking up, eating breakfast, packing a bag, putting on her boots. Another multimodal feature of this text includes the PDF being available online. The thematic features of the text, The Arrival by Sean Tan, include the multiple perspectives of an Asian Australian immigrant over time. The novel itself is described by Tan as silent graphic novel is the story of every immigrant, every refugee, every displaced person, and a tribute to those that have made the journey.
Peking Ducks is a children's picture book that has many different features, referring to linguistics, multimodality, and thematicism. The main theme being of belonging. The linguistic features outlined in the picture book refer back to the descriptive nature within the images and writing that link in with one another. This then allows for readers, especially the younger readers, to be able to understand the text and follow the storyline. There are many options in being able to access this book, which allow for the expansion of multimodality. The book is available online as a PDF, purchases online, and is also available to purchase a hard copy of the text. However, unfortunately, the picture book is not offered as a read aloud, and therefore requires for it to be read. The book is very thematic as it gives a storyline of belonging through the lessons that can be learnt that are passed on through the generations. This is clear through the lives of 3 little ducks that learn about the hardships of their parents and therefore are able to make changes and enforce ideas within their lives to make a difference.
Strategies for Stage 2, Age 8. Strategies that could assist students would be to start in a large group and share the story with them, and then break off into smaller groups based off their levels and abilities and get them to do activities suited to them. With the students that struggled a little more, it would be wiser to do a role-play activity. For students that are above age, they would be able to read amongst one another and share what they think. And for the higher achievers, can share their knowledge as well as begin to identify grammatical aspects of the reading that was shared.
Another activity that students could do to further understand a book or novel is to touch into their creative side by creating a picture or artwork or painting that represents an aspect of the novel that they felt that they enjoyed. For example, if an educator was doing a read aloud of Peking Ducks by Krista Bell, the teacher could, after the read aloud, ask the students to do an arts activity where they recreate the river that the ducklings travelled along throughout the book and put images of their families and others who love and influence them.